Hi, welcome to Shopping with the Devil. This is video number 7. In this video, I'm going to talk about kind of like what society says you need and what things you don't need. I'm not an expert with finances, but I'm just making this channel to kind of give my perspective on things and maybe help people think about things in a different way. So this I could probably rant about this topic for a while, but the one question I like to ask myself is, can I breathe without it? So when you're in the store shopping or when you're looking around your house, what are the things that you can breathe without? And like literally, if you did not have this item today, would you be still breathing tomorrow? And pretty much every single time is probably going to be yes. Like food, you can find food in a lot of places, depending on, I guess, like what country you're in or what environment. Like if you're in the desert, that might be a little bit harder to come by. But typically, like, there's probably people in your neighborhood or like they have food. You can get plants. There's plenty of plants that you're allowed to eat. So if you're really just trying to get by, to like live one more day in survival mode, there are places that you can get food. Water is free in a lot of places, and even if it's not free, like there's water sources that's relatively easy to come by. Clothes, there's just an abundance of clothes that we have. People have whole closets full of clothes, so clothes are pretty okay to come by. I mean, maybe winter items might not be, but maybe you just move to a warmer area. If you're not able to like get winter clothes, then maybe you gotta move to a warmer place where you don't need as many clothes. And then shelter, there's lots of different ways that you can have shelter. If you're in a winter climate, it's harder to come by shelter. But if you're in a warmer area, don't need too much. There's lots of ways that you can do that. You could live in a whole house with like 20 other people. You all split the money, and you all have a shelter, and it's costs way less than each of you having your own house. That's another option that could work for people if they're really in a survival kind of situation and struggling financially. Sometimes you have to think of ideas that might be a little bit abnormal. So when I think about like what society says that we need, I think there's like this middle zone of things that we don't necessarily, like, we can breathe without them, but like they're really hard to breathe without. So for example, like drugs are one thing that, like, technically you can live without drugs, but it's extremely like mentally hard to live without drugs if you're really addicted to them. Same thing with just like if you have pets, maybe like a pet is like a huge source of just help for your mental health, and if you don't have that pet, like your mental health might really decline. So while you might like survive without the pet, like mentally you might not be as well off, and that could affect your regular survival. So I think it's like good to think about kind of like the mental health aspects of things that are a little bit harder to measure. Like you can physically breathe without certain things, but mentally you might no longer be breathing on with some of these if you don't have some of these items. So, and that can affect how your physical part. So anyway, that's one aspect to think about. But there's a whole list of things I'm going to read here that we do not need to, that we can live without. So TVs, cars, phones, computers, beauty products, kitchen supplies, clothes, shoes, decorations, sports, pets, fads, diapers, toys, bottled water, books, DVDs, streaming services, gym memberships, presents, paper towels, Kleenex, toilet paper or bidet, dishwasher, fridge, stove, microwave, freezer, kitchen table, couches, beds, shaving supplies. So those are just a list I came up with, and like depending on your situation, you probably do not need any of those things. Like just to make it to another day, to keep breathing, you don't need a lot of those things. And like I said, like the pets might be something you mentally need, but technically you will physically survive another day if you don't have your pet. Or bottled water. There's other options of water. You don't have to have it bottled. Well, I guess if you have like, if in a real emergency zone, then maybe you need bottled water, but most people, I think a lot of people, they spend money on bottled water, and you can just get it for free out of your tap, and there's no reason to spend that extra money on bottled water. And like kitchen supplies, there's food that you can eat, like fruit. You would just go to the store and get a thing of bananas, and that could be your food for a meal. And you don't need any kitchen supplies, technically, to be able to get to another day. I guess if your only like food source you have maybe is like beans or something, then yeah, you'll need like a pot to in order to cook it. So yeah, or maybe you just get like the pre-cooked beans or whatever, like canned beans. But anyway, but majority of the time, like all these extra kitchen supplies we have, like you don't really need them in order to survive. Like you pretty much just need a pot, and that's probably it. Just to like cook something if it needs to be cooked. You can use your hands to, eat it. You don't really need a fork or a spoon. I mean, that's kind of like extreme, but like if you're trying to figure out how to spend your money, if it's like I need to buy a fork and spoon versus I need to buy like a banana to eat, probably should pick the banana rather than a fork or spoon. I think people like know that, but anyway, that's just kind of like the mindset to have. Presents, like you don't need to buy actual things for people for presents. Like you can make a nice card, or I don't know, you can just make something, but it doesn't have to be, something that you bought from the store. And I mean, some of these things are pretty, beauty products, decorations, streaming services, and gym memberships. Those are all things that I think people realize are pretty extra, that if you're surviving, those are the things that you cut out first. Diapers, like the disposable diapers, you don't need. You can always just use cloth diapers, or if you're just living in nature, you just let nature take care of things. So yeah, so if you really think about it, you don't even really need diapers for your babies, because they will keep breathing if they don't have a diaper on, And shaving supplies is one big thing that it's just a waste of money. Like in the first place, you don't really have to shave, because that's just a thing society says that you're supposed to shave. But if you are going to shave, you can just use shampoo. Just use shampoo and your shaver, and it works, well, at least in my experience, like it's worked just as well as shaving cream. So yeah, just like, don't be afraid to go against what society tells you need, and say no to things. And especially if you're struggling financially, just start cutting out anything excess, and just ask yourself, can you breathe without this? Like, can you live one more day if you don't have this item? And yeah, let that be your your mantra. And thanks for watching another video.